Hello friends, it's Sarah from Sweet Scents from the Dollhouse. If you're new to my channel, welcome. If you're a returning subscriber, as always, welcome back. Today I am filming this week's episode of Swax Files. And, shoot, I should have grabbed that earlier. During these little filming episodes, I'm going to be testing out Scentsy's Sweaty Wax. I know my camera won't be able to pick up how sweaty this bar is, but this was sweet plum pastry. I received this as a gift from my friends in Regina, Saskatchewan. I love this fragrance, so I was super sad to see it in this condition. It is really sweaty. I assure you it is not because of the way it was stored. So yeah, I just want to start melting these and kind of figuring out whether or not the Scentsy Sweats does affect the performance of the bar. I have 2 cubes in my Butterfly Atrium Warmer. If you have watched that review on my playlist, I love that warmer. It throws like a beast. It is a 10-watt element warmer. I have never had any performance issues with it. It's a powerful little bugger, and yeah, so far I have 2 of the cubes in there. The first 2 hours gave me a solid 6 to 8 foot throw. Doesn't smell any different. Smells like the beloved cult favorite sweet plum pastry. I'm finding now that it's at about the 2.5–3 hour mark, the throw is substantially less, but still smells delicious. Would still likely work in a smaller room, so it'll be interesting to see how long 2 cubes last in total. But I look forward to doing this and giving you my feedback in each little episode of Swax Files. So that is the sweaty wax that's melting today. So I know several of my viewers are really interested in this little mini series that I've started, and I want to jump into several different topics because I'm so excited to talk about it. But I think it's really important. If you watched part 1 of this little mini series, there's such widespread nonsense on both sides of this claim that I think I need to strip it down to the bare bone basics. So let's start with understanding what paraffin is, where it comes from, and what risks it poses, what risks it doesn't. So candle making is a craft as old as time. And I know some of the self-proclaimed waxperts are going to be like, well, we're talking about wax melts, not candles. Honey, it's the same thing, just without the wax. And I assure you, it is by far harder to make a successful candle than it is a wax tart. So again, this is a craft that's as old as time. Historians have found candles that are from the 4th century, like we're talking biblical times, where they used to grind up insects, dry that out, roll it up, and make it into a candle. People all over the globe use taro, which is fat from animals, and our ancestors never wasted a morsel of anything. So in North America, we would kill a cow and use every single part of it, including the fat, boiled and made into candles. In Tibet, they used yaks. In India, where animals such as cows are in high spiritual regard, they boiled cinnamon to make candles. People all over the world made soaps, cheeses, took the lard or like whatever rose to the top, skimmed that off, made candles out of it. On the Pacific Ocean, you can find something called a smelt or candlefish. That was very commonly used. And unfortunately, we did have the phase of the whaling industry, which has depleted that natural resource, and tons of our whales are now on the endangered species list. But for many years, our ancestors killed whales for many things, including to make candle wax. So paraffin, for anyone who doesn't really know or isn't clear about what it is or where it comes from, it's kind of like the same process that I just explained. When you make cheese or soap, you like scrape the scum off the top, but it's petroleum. It's the residue left over from distilling crude petroleum. It is what it is. regardless of what grade it is. So the discovery of paraffin was amazing for the industrialization of the candle industry, because before paraffin, there wasn't very great candles, and clearly, depending what social class or how much money you had, you could buy better quality candles if you had the big bucks. And the poor people were kind of left in the dumps. And keep in mind, we are talking like 61 years before the invention of electricity. So these people weren't burning candles for home fragrance. This was like for basic survival skills. So the discovery and invention of paraffin candles was amazing, because now these were like some of the highest quality candles that people were producing for very, very, very little money. Now everyone could afford these really high quality candles. This video is going to kind of be cut into two parts, because remember, I am cruising right down the center of the Scentsy debate. So, first part, let's get into what food grade paraffin is. So, maybe a common misconception with some people is that Scentsy invented food grade paraffin, and that Scentsy is the only candle company with access to food grade paraffin. That is not true. Colonial Candles opened in 1909, and they also now use food grade paraffin in both their wax tarts as well as their candles. So Scentsy by no means invented the wheel. I'm not sure why. I don't know why Scentsy gets targeted for this kind of nonsense, but I think everyone but me has witnessed on Facebook that Scentsy causes cancer meme. Correct me, how the hell do you say that word? I'm so not hip to the internet. I've never seen it because I try and spend little to no time on Facebook aside from checking messages on my business page. Just stupidity spreads like wildfire on that site in particular, and a lot of various forms of social media. But I have heard about this alleged claim, and more recently at Christmas time, my aunt, who isn't particularly my favorite card in the deck, but I respect for my mom, not going to name any names, one of my aunts approached my mom, and she was like, I'm really surprised that Sarah's selling Scentsy. My mom's like, why? She seems to be having fun doing it. Why would you say that? Well, she's just so health conscious, and don't you know, I read on Facebook, Scentsy causes cancer. Oh, let me just smash my face into a brick wall. Said to my mother, anyone who starts a sentence off with I learned or I read on Facebook, so it must be true. You know what I mean? So to my mother, get out of here with that nonsense. It's total nonsense. I have no idea who started that, but let's get down to what food grade paraffin is. Food grade paraffin is a chemical preserve. A lot of Scentsy consultants will explain that Scentsy uses the same food grade paraffin that makes your apples shiny in the grocery store. And Scentsy haters will refute, that stuff's really bad for you. That stuff's really bad for you. I wash that off. Okay. But the chemicals are still on there, okay? Let's get down to the brass tacks of things. Unless you live in a climate where you can grow your own fruits and vegetables, and I'm talking in your backyard, and go out and pick your fruits and veg daily, you are going to be exposed to food grade paraffin on produce. I mean, I live in Canada, so we don't grow our own fruits and vegetables year round. We rely on other countries. So in order for fruits and vegetables to get here to me in the dead of winter, January, from Chile or the most southern tip of Mexico, by the time it's transported to Canada, it would be rotten if it wasn't for food grade paraffin. And yes, I wash it off. I use either a combination of lemon juice and water or vinegar, and I wash it off. But I can assure you that while I'm washing my produce, my first primary concern isn't usually the food grade paraffin. It's the insecticides and the pesticides that aren't government regulated in countries like Chile and Mexico. But hey, that's a video for a whole nother day, okay? And that is also the most obvious example. You can ask the Scentsy haters how they would wash food grade paraffin off a lollipop, because food grade paraffin makes it shiny. You can ask them, you know, how do you wash food grade paraffin out of chocolate? Without food grade paraffin, chocolate wouldn't keep its shape even at room temperature. So, like for instance, M&M's whole slogan campaign, melts in your mouth, not in your hands, is brought to you by food grade paraffin. It's in any chewy candy, sausages, packaged baked goods. So if you've ever bought a loaf of French bread from your local bakery, you know that you have to eat that within 3 or 4 days, or it's going to turn 50 shades of green in your cupboard or in your bread box, because it's not chock full of food grade paraffin. But comparably speaking to the Dempsters, the Wonder Bread, your hot dog buns, your hamburger buns, your tortilla wraps, whatever that you buy in a grocer's that was baked 3 weeks ago, is chock full of food grade paraffin, and that's why it's still fresh when you go into your grocer's and buy it. You can't wash that off. What else? Paraffin is in pretty much every single food dye ever invented, and then that's put into pretty much every single food ever invented. Cookies, rice crackers, cereal. You can buy the most purest form of food grade paraffin in your local grocers. You can go and buy it right off the shelf in its entirety. And that, my friends, is what your grandma puts in her jams and jellies. Food grade paraffin. How do you wash that out of your grand's jam? It's in tons of stuff, like cheese wrappers. The only company I can think of off the top of my head is like Baby Bell. You know how you take that red rind off of it before you can eat the cheese? That is food grade paraffin. It's even in over-the-counter medicines, pain relievers such as aspirin. You cannot wash it off. Food grade paraffin is in absolutely everything. Even though the U.S. Department of Agriculture advises against using food grade paraffin, and they only allow a little teeny tiny bit of it in each and every food because they say it passes through your body undigested, it has zero nutritional value, and now health scientists have proven that they are super, super dangerous and leading to cancer, ADHD in children, and a plethora of other super scary shit. But back to the Scentsy meme that says Scentsy causes cancer. I have to disagree because nobody ever told you to start eating Scentsy bars 6 times a day. I could go on and on and on and on for 72 hours about this topic, but again, we do not eat Scentsy bars and we don't burn them. I have made a video, it's in the Let's Chat section of my playlist, about why I don't burn candles anymore, because burning, lighting paraffin on fire, causes parasoot. It gets into the air, it's airborne, it gets stuck in the deepest parts of your lungs, you can't get that stuff out, and then it leads to respiratory disease. Again, a whole laundry list of other scary, scary stuff, and maybe even lung cancer. Again, no one is lighting Scentsy bars on fire or eating them. So this absolutely brain shark stupidity that is being spread like wildfire over Facebook that Scentsy causes cancer, please and thank you. Show me your research, your resources. This is just nonsense. And I have to laugh at the stupidity because I guarantee the idiot that made that stupid meme, however you want to call it, microwaved a hungry man entree, sat down, ate it, had that brain shard of an idea, created that meme, while they were wearing store-bought deodorant, talking on their cell phone with an underwire bra. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, those are the kind of idiots that spread propaganda when they don't even realize what are actual risks, what actually causes cancer. It's just nonsense, and it typically comes from the stupidest kinds of people. You know, I want them to come up with a meme. Why don't they say, Colonial Candles causes cancer. My grandma's blueberry jam causes cancer. Oh, Henry bars cause cancer. Come on. If that in theory is your logic, where's the rest of them? Because everything causes cancer. It's just downright stupidity, but that's the problem, is that we live in a world full of zombies who don't fact check. They spend zero time free thinking. They rely on biased resources. They believe everything they read on the internet, and then they just spew nonsense. It's tiresome, and that's usually why I avoid the internet. So, again, I'm cruising right down the middle of this great debate, because there is a side of this paraffin debate that will irk the purple people eaters of the world, who make the claim that it's food grade paraffin and it's the safest product on the market. Again, we have to be careful about making claims that not even companies make, right? So it's safe. It is the safest form of paraffin, but various people will have various definitions of what safe is. And petroleum-based products are not safe for our environment. I don't care who you are, how hard your brain's been scrubbed, the ecological impact of the petroleum industry cannot be refuted. It is what it is. It's scientifically proven. In the early 1800s, people had no clue. When they discovered petroleum and they started making paraffin candles, our ancestors had no clue that they were tapping into a natural resource. And I often wonder, you know, we look back on our ancestors and we cannot believe that they made the world's population of whales endangered, and they used them when there were other alternatives available. But our ancestors had yet to discover the other alternatives. Now I often wonder if my children or my grandchildren or generations after me will look back at us and say they were idiots because they had plenty of choices and they still chose to tap into a natural resource that they knew was dwindling. So we've known since like the early 70s, scientists came to the government and said, hey, we got a problem. That petroleum that we're fracking out of our earth, it's probably not going to last forever. The government says, well, it's making us money. Let's keep doing it. Okay, and again, the self-proclaimed waxperts will disagree. Well, she doesn't even know what she's talking about. Okay, but again, I invite you to read a book. I invite you to think outside the bubble. Do you know what I'm saying? Some of the things that I read on the Q&A when I was trying to get some information to be able to do this video, I went to the Scentsy blog and I was like, I wonder why they choose food grade paraffin, because even as a Scentsy consultant, I should be able to answer that. Scentsy says vegetable-based waxes do not produce a quality bar. And again, that is entirely Scentsy's opinion. But from what I've read in other sources, in like the early 1990s, chemists have been experimenting with soy and vegetable-based waxes, and they've proven that certain soy blends, certain soy compounds are just as good as paraffin waxes. I've also been experimenting with a variety of different waxes, whether it's full paraffin, paraffin, food grade paraffin, soy, parasoy blends, and just straight up soy. I have found amazing pure soy products that throw like a beast, they smell amazing, and they last just as long as a Scentsy bar. So there are other alternatives to paraffin. Scentsy also says that vegetable-based waxes do not have the scent loading capabilities that paraffin does. And that is what we're going to get into in the next portion of this little mini series, is scent loading abilities. And that is how much scent you can get into a wax before it sweats. But the one good thing that I did read about in the Scentsy blog is that they're very careful when picking the fragrance oils. So they will use natural oils if it's widely available and affordable, right? They're not going to start putting peppermint essential oils in home fragrance. Like if you do your research and look at the price of peppermint fragrance oil versus peppermint essential oil, nobody on the planet would be able to afford home fragrance if they started using just pure essential oils. It would be ridiculously expensive. Also, Scentsy says that they would rather choose synthetic fragrances than go after endangered species. There have been perfumers and fragrance companies in the past that exposés have been done on where they're followed and it comes out that they're after, I don't know, like rare flowers, say. It's led to the deforestation of, where was it? Oh, damn it. I think it was some point in Brazil. I'll have to look that up again. But anyway, Scentsy's not about that. And they say we would rather use a synthetic fragrance that's really close to the real thing than kill our planet or go after and destroy an ecological environment, which is super commendable. That is amazing. They said we prefer to use synthetic fragrance oil versus unrestrained use of a natural resource. So I read that and I was like, that's awesome that they do that for fragrance oil. But it's kind of disheartening because I'm like, petroleum is, and using petroleum, turning it into paraffin is the same thing. That is unrestrained use of a natural resource. And don't get me wrong, like I'm not saying this is an attack on Scentsy. Tons of candle companies do this. It's not by all means, limited to Scentsy. I would love to see Scentsy flip the script. I would love to see Scentsy be an industry leader. I mean, they were an industry leader for the wax tart. I know Colonial Candles did it before, but Scentsy came to the market and showed Colonial Candles how it's done. Now I wish that Scentsy would continue to be an industry leader and switch over to a renewable source like vegetable wax. Some people will argue that candles aren't the only thing that's depleting our world of its natural resource, and this is true. I mean, we use petroleum for everything. Fuel, plastics, asphalts, paint thinners, food additives. Like, we use petroleum for a bajillion different things, but the candle industry is a $2 billion industry, and it has a widespread influence. If you think about it, like how many next generation people are on YouTube right now watching Bath and Body Works hauls? The candle industry has a ginormous audience of all ages. So I'm hoping that Scentsy does it first because I love Scentsy. And I hope Scentsy is the industry leader, of course. But I'm happy if any of them make the switch and start the momentum. I mean, scientifically, it's been proven since the early 90s that the candle industry has room to wiggle. They have another alternative. They're just not really using it, right? So if any industry can foster some major change, it is the candle industry. There are a few candle companies catching on. One being Slatkin, who now has Homeworks. He told Bath & Body Works to beat it. He is the forefather of home fragrance. Homeworks is a soy para blend. It's not perfect, but it's moving in the right direction. Bath & Body Works, I have an issue with those people. I invite you to go into your wax collection, your candle collection. If your candle is, I think, poured in like the last 2 years, you can read right on the label. They now claim that their candles are infused with essential oils. Ugh, nonsense. Like, all they have to do is put one drop of oil in like a 700-liter vat of fragrance oil, and they're allowed to make that claim that it's infused with essential oils. That's bullshit. So they also claim that they are a soy blend candle. I had this like cringe-worthy Bath & Body Works salesperson the other day try and tell me that it's an all-natural soy candle, and I picked it up and I like showed her the bottom of it. You work here, for goodness sakes. You should know. But again, it's like that zombie soy. It's infused with essential oils. Best product ever. Safest, best ever. But I have no knowledge, no free thinking capabilities. So it was super cringeworthy. She was wicked annoying. And from a company who makes claims that their candles are infused with essential oils. Like, they want the zombie Facebook people of the world to believe that it's au naturel. I have a really hard time believing that it's even half soy. It's probably 98% paraffin and 2% soy, but hey, it's 2%. It's even 2% of a huge industry leader is a step in the right direction. So, I'm sorry that this video is so long. Stay tuned for next week's installment. We are going to talk about fragrance loading capabilities of wax, because that, my friends, is where the sweats come from. Sorry this video is so long, but I really hope this clears up both sides of the Scentsy debate. If anyone's wondering if Scentsy causes cancer, that's a hell no. That's just silly. And I really, really, really hope that Scentsy continues to be an industry leader and eventually, hopefully, sooner than later, starts to make change and stops relying on unrestrained use of natural resources. Thanks for watching. Bye for now.